Hello, and welcome back to the Elemental I Ching. So today we're drinking in GK11, which I like to call the archetypes of archetype, our key types. Right? These stories and ideals and fantasies and mirrors of expression of personality that we experience and that we embody and that we interact with throughout life. And it moves through the shadow of obscurity, the block, the cloudiness that keeps us from digesting the information of the archetypes around us. And it creates a limited field of understanding. So when we're obscured from the truth, and the truth is light, the truth is beauty, the truth is love. All of life is that love, but it's maybe love in a confused state, and we don't fully understand that this challenge is here for our breakthrough, that this archetype is not actually about that person and what we project onto that person, but as a doppelganger, as a mirror, as a reflection for us to liberate that light. So it moves from that obscurity to idealism. And idealism gets a bad rap, right? I'm an idealist, for sure, if you've listened to anything that I say. I love to live and breathe in that knowing that we are a part of a universal field of love. Not as a bypass, not as the fantasy or deludedness, which is the repressive and reactive states of obscurity. It's not about living in some fantasy that's different than what I'm experiencing right now. Dislocating myself because I'm feeling entropy or stagnation or discomfort. I'm uncomfortable with what's going on, so I want to live in my fantasy of what could be going on right now. Or being deluded and being angrily reacting to what is happening, including my own, kind of activist idealist that wants to go out and tear down the walls. And it's not that there's not a true yang hidden in that, but what are we fueling our actions? Are we fueling our actions by rage, by dislocating, by identifying ourselves with the experience of what we think should be going on, our desires, or dislocating myself by identifying with my aversion from what's going on, my fears, right? We're dislocating, we're disidentifying with the true heart, because we don't feel comfortable with what's going on, what's churning, or what's not going on, like what's stagnant, what's empty. We're a victim to time, so we try to find safety in an external refuge. But this key is all about peace. In the I Ching, it's called peace or harmony. It's one of the most harmonious hexagrams because it's the creative yang that naturally rises up, the creative heaven that's rising. And it's beneath the earth trigram, the yielding, the receiving, the sinking, the deepening, the melting energy of the yin. So these two are meeting each other in the sacred union, the unio mystica, the absolute divine union of yin and yang, of feminine and masculine, of light and dark, of balance, of the daiji, this balance between the dynamic forces of life, the form and the formless. And that's where idealism, you can start to hear it even in my language. It starts to get kind of vague and ideal. And there's a truth to that, of seeing the archetypes as clues to my greater reality, to the greater reality of light, of the Garden of Eden that we are, that all of reality is love, that all of reality is pure in its essence and its light. And going into that citic state, that city of light, we're talking about the unified beauty, or unity through beauty. Unity by seeing the beauty of all that is and all that occurs, knowing that realm of light. So that's that enlightened perspective, right? And we don't want to, it's not about being deluded and fantasizing and staying in that hippy-dippy, go with the flow, oh, it's all good, it's all love, right? I mean, we don't have to do anything. And it's not staying stuck and disenchanted from that either. And, you got to be realist. Idealism's wrong. Idealism's weak. You have to balance. You have to know what your true values and ideals are. I have to discover. This is a new moon in Sagittarius, right now in GK11. Like, where am I pointing my bow? What is my fiery illuminated ideal of truth that I'm seeking? And there's all these planets right now in Sagittarius, just like beaming this information while I'm deepening and reflecting on my modes of communication. I'm anchoring and integrating these seeds for the true seeker in me, not the deluded seeker in me, that actually is looking outside of oneself, but the deepest integration of these archetypes. Because the beauty of the idealism, of the adventure of archetypes, is you're not going out there to slay the demon or the dragon or claim the princess or the gold or whatever it is that we put those stories in the media, in our tales. They're all reflections of our own inner processes. The greatest adventure is this inner adventure of integrating these shadow archetypes into myself. You know, like in the original Empire Strikes Back, like when Luke goes into the cave, the darkness, the doppelganger, shows him his greatest fear, right? Darth Vader. But it's not the emblem of evil that he sees. It's the fear, the deep unconscious fear that he is that evil. Within that mask is actually himself. You know, these are the depths that media and stories and ancient tales always bring us to, is looking at the reflection of our deepest, darkest fears and integrating that as a part of ourself, not as succumbing to those lower desires. There's always this choice of how do we use our power, you know, and I think that's the beauty of the Star Wars philosophy. I just saw the new one, which go see it. It's amazing. No spoilers here, but definitely with the contemplative lens, there's some amazing archetypes to discover. But just in general, Star Wars and the philosophy of the Force, this beautiful journey of the light side and the dark side, right? Good and evil, light and dark, they're clashing, they're trying to discover who's real. But deeper than that, order and chaos, deeper than that, fueled by power and greed for power and control that thinks it's right. You know, they both think they're right. The Force is neither of those extremes. The Force is the living vibrancy that binds all living things, right? It's not the life and the death. It's not the victory and the defeat. It's not the joy and this pain. It's not grief and praise. It's the balance between all of those things. That's what the Force is. That's what love is. It's there is no opposite to love. It's just balance throughout all time and space. And then these stories arrive, these forms of impermanent forms arise that tell their part of that story. And inevitably the hero's journey is constantly finding that dark forest, finding that dragon, and then integrating that part of personality and coming back home to share the blessings of what that shamanic journey of growth, of seeing the depths of our challenges as brilliant opportunities and harvesting those gifts, harvesting those gems. So even with Darth Trump, you know, in my country, I'm an idealist. I'm a secret idealist for what America really could be, you know, I mean, and how powerful that statement of "Make America Great Again" pulled on the heartstrings of that idealist soul inside of so many people, even with complete opposite in actions, you know. And this is of course a part of this key of obscurity and vanity, the ability to manipulate language to prove itself right and to prove its own regime, to prove its own agenda, versus seeing the archetypes as reflections of inner growth. So where am I inside that Darth Trump? Where do I manipulate and lie? Where do I boast and dominate? Where am I not in touch with that lucid trust and love? And I make inappropriate or unethical or whatever those actions are. Maybe they're more in my past, but I mean, real honesty, to take that honest look at all those depths of where the yang has been misplaced from the depths of the yin, and where that yin gets too quiet and soft and doesn't trust that yang. We have to look into the dark cave of our own soul and dissolve ourselves into that doppelganger, into that demon, into that shadow underbelly of who we don't want to think we are, but we really have. It's a part of us. That's why I love the Gene Keys. It's all an integrative tool, you know, not as, and there's a part of letting go of old patterns. You don't have to be victim to those patterns anymore. You don't have to be victim to the way that has controlled, the conditioning mind has controlled our actions to be reactive from a place of fear or anger. You know, we can find peace and harmony. And that's what GK11, hexagram 11, it's this peace and harmony found in balance. Ideally seeking balance. So idealism. Orienting through freshness. Orienting to freshness. Orienting our awareness, our heart, to each fresh moment, to see the beauty that is there, to follow the clues on this modern day quest, all these little clues of who shows up, of what the media tells me, of what the person is yelling at me or is loving me for. What are all these qualities? Because for me, it all boils down to the dreaming language. I feel that the Gene Keys is a dreaming language. But I'm speaking here mostly to my Amazonian and Jungian psychology work with Paititi of the dreaming language. And when we dream, it's our unconscious or subconscious telling us all these symbols. The divine intelligence is speaking to us, helping us to diagnose places that need growth and integration in our life. And so every person in your dream is you. They're all reflections of your personality, or the matrix of your personality is created by all the people you know. And we're here to integrate all those different pieces without charge. So the mother is not just your biological mother when you dream of her, it's the mother of your conditioning. And your friend is not just that person. It's not about going to talk to them, it's about going and talking to the qualities that you love about them, because they're qualities you aspire to amplify in your life. So if a friend reminds you of someone who's really talented and strong in their convictions, it's you talking to your own strength, your own virtue, your own talent. Or maybe it's a shadow archetype that you're running from the scary beast, Those are shadow parts of your personality asking to be integrated. How do you respond or react against them? Or the car that you get in, that's a personality that you drive from one place to another. Who's driving the car? Is your father driving your personality still? Look for these conditioned clues. Use the language as a detective story to see what it is that it wants to bring awareness to. And that's the beauty of this hero's journey, is that all the archetypes, and not just in our sleeping dreams, but in this waking dream, every encounter, every person is all a clue for our archetypal journey back to truth, back to light, back to being a role model for the idealism that we see in the world. So, what are your dreams? Where are we aiming this bow? What are my dreams? What am I illuminated by? I believe in living in a world of harmony, where we're harmonious with each other, with the planet, with our environment, with the resources, with love. That we're generous with our loving kindness to one another, that we can experience diversity and difference without reacting and attacking that difference. That I can stand for the values that are ideals to me, but not at charge or destructive energy against someone else in order to claim that. To be in sovereignty yet interdependent relationship with life. And here my idealism on this new moon is to plant that seed for Wonderland, because I do believe Wonderland for me is it's my reflection, it's my home, it's my amplifier field for living in the ideal world. We're a very idealist community. I know I live in a bubble. I know I'm very lucky and it's a great opportunity and an honor to be here, but we also open our doors for anyone to walk in and experience the tea temple, or experience the magic of the art and music, or experience our videos out in the world. Because I truly aspire for people to find that magic is real, that we can live this life as art in a beautiful way, to enact real evolutionary changes in our own life, and intimate, heart-opening experiences with others, and vast prosperity for the collective to rise into that harmonious, enlightened society that is our destiny. That's the idealism, but I need to live it. I need to be it. I need to breathe it. I don't need to wait in a fantasy of one day that will happen. And more as I embody that, the environment reflects that light back to me. And now I'm coated, I'm surrounded, I'm soaking, come out with your hearts open. We've got you surrounded, says God. It's just so clear that I have that reflection, and I find that reflection in my deepest challenges, in the darkest night. So to end this transmission, the darkest night, right? We approach the solstice, the darkest night of the year. How powerful that we're here at this black and white, this yin and yang, this taking over of the darkness until the rebirth of the light. And even just holidays and Christmas time and solstice and Yuletide and all these traditions and cultures that experience that rebirth, and where we gather in small groups huddled around the fire to share our little treats that we've saved for just this moment, for this cold winter night, to share those treats with each other, to share that light with each other, you know, and to gather into the family unit and the community, and then that global family that gathers around this light every year, even when it's obscured and confused from some people and what these archetypes mean. And yes, there's traditions that have some scary past to them, but let's not be divided by that. Let's see the unity through beauty, the beauty of these cultures that remind us to gather and share, to share our loving presence together, you know, and to come back to peace. All these Christmas carols on the radio, it's just like all about the world of peace. And yeah, maybe it's idealistic, you know, maybe it's a delusion of mine that we could live in a world of peace. But I do believe there's a Chinese proverb for this hexagram of, I hold a green bough in my heart so that the singing bird may come. You know, so that the singing bird of grace will come. I cultivate a nest, a garden every day through my actions to create a fertile opportunity for the light of creation to reveal the beauty. Not as a grasping, but as a receiving yin to allow that light to emerge. So many blessings on this special holiday time, you know, and many blessings to this courageous adventure we're on, this Sagittarian adventure of finding truth amidst the light side and the dark side. You know, there's a lot of power being abused and misused on our planet, and it's not about vilifying that and making that evil, but using the reflection of this doppelganger of Darth Trump and all of the that's my new archetype, but really any of these archetypes of injustice, to use that as an integrative tool to discover, how can I be in the virtuous light, inhabit my temple fully so that nothing else may grow here. That's the true power and sanctity of sovereignty, of living a sovereign life. It doesn't mean we won't need to discover our boundaries and our borders and our resource alignments and our inequalities as an interpersonal relationship. But we can't compromise that inner light. We have to maintain the freedom. I aspire to maintain the freedom of light within my vessel, because that's the birthright of love. That's the truth of who I am beyond the impermanent sensations. So to be mindful where I dislocate and identify with the temporary sensations, instead return and orient my heart to the freshness of this moment, the beauty of this moment, to be unified in the beauty of life. That's light. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, Happy Solstice and Yuletide, and all the traditions that I don't even know about your incredible celebratory rituals. Let us gather in the light, even amidst the darkness, and fan that fire from the simplest and the smallest of sparks. Don't give up. We haven't lost hope. I haven't lost hope. Many blessings.